History is written by those who prevail. But what if a single decision, a single escape, or a single marriage had rewritten everything we know today?
What if Cleopatra and Mark Antony had won the Battle of Actium in 31 BC? This single naval victory would have completely rewritten Western civilization. Egypt would have remained the richest independent kingdom in the Mediterranean, with Cleopatra expanding her empire across North Africa and the Middle East. Augustus would never have become Rome's first emperor, keeping the Roman Republic intact for centuries longer. But here's where it gets incredible. Greek-Egyptian culture would have dominated the ancient world instead of Roman culture. Alexandria would have stayed the intellectual center of civilization, not Rome. Christianity might never have spread globally since it relied heavily on Roman roads and Pax Romana. Egyptian hieroglyphic writing could have become the dominant script across the known world. The Ptolemaic dynasty would have ruled for centuries more, making Egypt the supreme superpower. One naval battle completely changed who we became as a civilization. Sometimes history hangs on the smallest moments. What if Napoleon had listened to his advisors and never invaded Russia in 1812? This single decision would have changed the entire course of world history. Instead of marching 600,000 men to their deaths in the frozen Russian wilderness, Napoleon keeps his Grande Armée intact. With this massive force, he finally launches his long-planned invasion of Britain. The weakened British Navy can't stop him. London falls within months. Without Russia's devastating victory over Napoleon, the Sixth Coalition never forms. The continental system remains in place, completely cutting off British trade with Europe. Britain's economy collapses. Their empire crumbles without financial support. There's no Waterloo, no exile to Elba, no final defeat. Napoleon rules Europe for decades, spreading French law and constitutional monarchy across the continent. French becomes the dominant language from Spain to Poland. The entire map of Europe is redrawn under Napoleonic influence. One moment of restraint could have created a completely different world. Sometimes the battles you don't fight determine history more than the ones you do. What if Elizabeth I had married and produced an heir instead of dying childless in 1603? The Virgin Queen's death ended the Tudor dynasty and brought Scottish King James VI to the English throne. But imagine she had accepted one of her many marriage proposals and secured the bloodline. England would have remained purely English, with no Scottish succession to unite the crowns. The gunpowder plot would never have happened because Catholic conspirators targeted James specifically. Without religious tensions from Scottish rule, the English Civil War might have been avoided entirely. A stable Tudor dynasty could have lasted centuries, fundamentally changing European power. The Protestant-Catholic balance across Europe would have shifted dramatically, possibly preventing the devastating 30 Years' War. Most shocking of all, America might never have been colonized by English Puritans. They fled religious persecution under James and his successors, seeking freedom in the New World. With religious tolerance under continued Tudor rule, they would have stayed home. One royal marriage could have rewritten the entire history of two continents. What if Marie Antoinette had escaped France and fled to America instead of facing the guillotine? In 1791, the French royal family attempted to flee revolutionary France, but were captured at Varennes. But imagine if they had succeeded and sailed to the newly formed United States. President George Washington would face an impossible choice: harbor foreign royalty or turn them away. The Federalists would welcome them as fellow aristocrats, while Democratic Republicans would see them as enemies of freedom. America would split down the middle over whether a republic could protect kings and queens. European monarchies would view America as a sanctuary for deposed rulers, making it a target for revolutionary French forces. Napoleon might never sell Louisiana, fearing American royal influence so close to French territory. The young nation could be dragged into European wars decades early, testing whether democracy could survive. One successful escape could have turned America into a battleground between monarchy and revolution. Sometimes, the smallest moments reshape entire continents. What if Emperor Constantine never converted to Christianity and instead kept hunting down Christians across the Roman Empire? In 312 AD, Constantine stood at a crossroads that would shape the next 1700 years of human history. But imagine he chose persecution over conversion. Christianity would have stayed underground, never becoming Europe's dominant faith. No Council of Nicaea to establish Christian doctrine. No grand basilicas rising across the empire. Roman law would have remained pagan, and Zeus might still rule European hearts today. Here's the shocking part. Islam might never have emerged, since it built upon Christian foundations. The Byzantine Empire would have worshipped ancient gods, not Christ. No medieval crusades would have bloodied the Holy Land. The Catholic Church would never have gained political power over kings and kingdoms. Europe would look completely different, still bowing to Jupiter and Mars. One emperor's single religious choice created the entire concept of Christendom. Sometimes history hangs on just one man's decision.
History might be written by those who prevailed, but its greatest stories belong to the ones who almost did. Which what if do you think would have changed the world the most?